ready.
Okay, fire away.
Great. So thank you everybody for coming. So I'm going to talk to you today about designing in context. So about next generation interactive design tools. Thankfully, Alan is here today, which is super exciting, who's one of the members of our team. I've popped the website on there, which has a lot more information than I can give to you right now on there, but I'm just going to give you a good overview of what we've been working on. So, there we go. So as I said, there's more than just me and our lovely team. So we've got Miriam on the left there, who is a lecturer at Lancaster University. She does lots of work on sketching and changeable interfaces and things like that. Then we've got Alan, who I'm sure you all know, who is working with us, and myself. So we're the kind of basis of the InContext team. And then we have the pleasure of working with a wider variety as well, who are involved in our Kai workshop, which I'll give a bit of a talk about later. But just from left to right, we have Danny Raju, who some of you may know from Cherish. He works for Studio Hasi, which is in Mumbai. We have Eunice Sari, who works for UX Indonesia. Wendy McKay, who's at the University of Paris-Saclay, and she does lots of work in HCI. Elizabeth Churchill, who is the director of UX for Google. And then finally, but not the least, is Martha Aldridge, who is a designer, senior designer for Kainos. So all 8 of us together make a research team thinking about next generation design tools. So what is our focus? The original design was a conversation between Alan, Miriam, and myself after my master's project, where I had created a series of different storyboards for the Lookout, which I did my last talk on here, which basically is an outside project where people can walk up to it and try and interact with this tool to look into the future. But the problem with that is that a lot of the design tools that are still available at the moment made it really difficult to think about not only how the person was using it, but how it was going to look. So those two things together are quite difficult to do. So the focus then was to evaluate what kind of tools we have at the moment, and are there any areas for improvement, not just from our point of view, but from a wide range of users. So again, I'll have a talk about what workshops we've done so far and what we've got planned to get these points of views. We hope in the future to create a different prototyping tool that can try and incorporate all these things that we've learned to make a more inclusive design for different modalities and things like that for our designers of the future. And by doing this, we can then try and incorporate these into the education system. Yes, so as I said, these are just some of the storyboards, which was a kind of frog leap, I guess, for the project, where Miriam, Alan, and I started chatting about how frustrating it is with our current design tools to try and do something like this online, not just for the Lookout, but for a range of different modalities, such as, say, speech. So yeah, so from there we started looking at, so this is a graph from the User Experience Design Tools Survey for 2021. There is one of these surveys, there's been one every year for about the past 5 to 10 years, I think, and they get over 3,000 users from across the entire globe to ask them different questions about their user experience design tool. So the importance of this is the absolute range of people that they talk to, from product designers, software engineers, down to researchers, academia. You know, it's not just a research-based problem, it's across the industry as well. So I've popped the link in the corner if you want to have a look at the bigger range of questions. It's a really big questionnaire, and it's a really interesting thing to look at, but just for a basis, this is what I've got here. So These are the current main tools in use. So if you've not had a look at these tools, it's absolutely fine. It's just a kind of general. So we've got Figma, Sketch, and Adobe XD. So all of the ones on here are very screen-based, very kind of, I guess, like slim. It's really difficult to use them for wider range of things. So, and then as seen here, the types of prototypes, web apps, websites, mobile apps, these are all screen-based thing with very few physical ones. And a lot of these physical prototypes are still something on a phone, something on a screen. And that's just, if that is the main prototypes that we can create within computer science and beyond, it's just a bit sad, really, because we've got so many interesting new technologies coming out. So providing tools that we can actually prototype them on is what we've been looking at. So just again, to show you the kind of things. So these are all screen-based prototypes, which obviously is really important. We have a lot of computers and phones and apps that we do need to design for, but they're still not looking at the context of people using them. So this one is Adobe, this one's Sketch, and this one is Figma, but still they're just looking at someone using, for example, the Figma one. It's a plant type thing. So I've got one of those on my phone. I scan all my plants. It comes up to tell me how well they're doing. But this kind of design doesn't look at where in the house I'm going to be when I'm using the phone. Am I going to be outside? Can I use it when I'm in the shop trying to look at a new plant? Can I scan in different lights? All these kind of things is something that you cannot evaluate within the prototyping tool. So from there, that's where we came up with our kind of 3 problems. So how are the next generation of designers meant to learn the importance of designing in context when the tools that we're asking them to use don't enable to do that? So in one of our workshops, we spoke to a product design lecturer, and she had asked her students to create a new type of dishwasher. So she'd said to them, we want you to really think about the context, the user experience of someone using these dishwashers. Is there any way that we can improve how people interact with them and make them better user experience, basically? But they would have to hand sketch, or that was basically, or use PowerPoint to try and prototype these kind of things, instead of having an online tool which they could collaborate with, as it was a group project, which just really makes it very difficult for them to work on these kind of things, and as well prevents them from thinking outside the box of all the different contexts that they're doing. So yeah, we also found that they were focusing on screens, and what about other modalities? So this was the basis that we began from. And from there, we held a set of 4 2-hour interactive workshops with a range of industry members, academic experts, and students. We had over 24 participants altogether. And the aims of these workshops was to take all the things that we thought as a team and actually see how many other people thought the same, and if there were any other things that they wanted to add on, basically. So doing this, we asked them what kind of UX design tools do they use at the moment by themselves, but also within their teams. And then what are the possible pain points and solutions from those tools that they're trying to use. We did this using Miro boards. If you've not had the joy of using Miro boards yet, I would suggest that you have a go. They have been super great from all the things that I've used them on. It's basically an online whiteboard where you can get the entire team onto it and get them to add post-it notes, sketches. They can upload anything they want. They can put lines between the different ones. And this was a really important factor in our workshops in getting the different people to talk to each other, because 2 hours can sound like a long time for a workshop, but we had some really excited and interesting participants, and they all wanted to talk and give their bit, which is always great. But within 2 hours, we wanted to make sure that they could put all these ideas down and not be restricted to us taking notes and things like that. So this kind of system was really, really useful. And there's another picture from one of the other ones. So we've done some preliminary analysis on this so far. We are waiting until we've completed our Kai workshop before we do the in-depth analysis, because we want to do it all together. And the main things that we've got out so far are that we need a tool to integrate multiple UX design stages within one single tool. So things like the app, where are we using it? What types of things are we using it for? Not just the first stage where we're just making it and the user's just going to sit and play with it on their sofa, for example. There's many, many possibilities of all the different stages that they could be using this at. Then thinking about multi-modality. So we had quite a few researchers and industry members who didn't want to do any types of designs on screens. They were looking at speech-based things, smell-based things, or outdoor interactive public displays, things like this, which were completely physical as opposed to visually based prototypes. And for this, they need some kind of tool so that they're not just making anything like me with my sketching is very poor. So making these odd sketches that they're trying to then present to their stakeholders or other people within their industry teams, and trying to explain to them this half odd sketch about their idea, which if they were able to complete this kind of simple prototyping online, might be a lot easier for them to work as a team on. Obviously, if you've got sketches on pieces of paper, you're going to have to scan them or take pictures, you lose quality, and you're trying to do that as a team, especially within the pandemic. It's not something that you can easily do online. And then finally, we wanted to bridge the gap between the design and development stages, especially for our novel prototypes. So from starting off with your sketching, which is absolutely fine to start off, but then building that up to, if we're making simple, low fidelity prototypes, then is there a tool where we can try and represent those online, so that if you use them, you could have maybe a set of videos that as you click different aspects, it shows you a new video of the next part of the prototype. So again, if we're still remaining online, or if you're wanting to share with an international team, you can all go through the process of the prototype without having to send physical prototypes to every single person. So our next steps are, we are holding a workshop at Kai this year in May. We have just received a set of submissions, so our deadline closes on Friday. If you would like to submit, then we would be delighted to see your submissions. We are focusing again on the next generation of design tools and how this can adapt all ranges of different prototyping research areas and industry. So not just HCI or computer science, but across the entire board of product design and computer science in itself, and different industry and engineering things. We are looking to prototype an evaluation of an integrated tool for multimodal and multi-stage designs, all based on the feedback we receive within these workshops. And we are also heading to Lancaster, Alan and I, to see Miriam in a couple of weeks to go through the rest of the workshops that we've done and do a full analysis of these things, which we will hopefully all together submit to a conference sometime next year. So I'm going to, if Alan doesn't mind, just say, would you like to add anything on, but no pressure?
been not particularly clear. No, that's great. I think you've given a good overview. I should say we have a few sort of early experimental prototypes of tools for doing the prototyping. So prototypes, tools for prototyping, which sounds really weird, but which is sort of you know, playable with. We've got
yeah. So as Alan said, we've got two different prototypes on his website. I can share the link in the chat afterwards. One of them is similar to what I was suggesting with the videos, so you can upload a set of videos where you then have an Excel sheet behind it where you, if they do certain things, then it'll change it. So at the moment, one of Alan's examples is a little wooden boat, and as you do different aspects, such as try and change the course of where the boat is going, it shows you a new video for every different selection. So that's one of the online tools that could be really useful. And then another one is just a more basic kind of enabling you to put in a prototype and provide the context at the same time next to each other. So that one is, you can do that with anything then, you know, you can upload sketches, you can upload CAD models, any of those kind of things, but it just really enables you to see both what your prototype is and where and why you're using it. Perfect. Then are there any questions? I will stop sharing.